Hare Krishna. Then with pranam all dear devotees. Thank you for joining. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadkamlam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Satam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं कृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः. So we'll say some Bhagavatam invocation prayers since we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Please recite after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo
ॐ नमो भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय
वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ
ॐ
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय
वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om
ॐ
Namo
ॐ नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय
वासुदेवाय
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपाकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. Let's get started. So we are reading from 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam, supreme-most literature about the divine love of Godhead. And this is chapter 23 of the 10th canto. This chapter is titled The Brahmana's Wives Blessed. So some of you may have heard this story. It's a very famous story. It's a very beautiful story. It talks about how, simple love of pure devotees, simple love of devotees attracts Krishna so much, and how Krishna never spares a moment to share or to glorify that the love that these devotees have. He's always trying to glorify his devotees. Like in Bhagavad Gita, he's always glorifying Arjuna. You are my friend. You are my devotee. You're so dear to me. Things like that. He says he's always glorifying his devotees. He glorified Bhishma Pitama by giving him the opportunity to give instructions to Yudhishthir Maharaj. He's always glorifying Radharani. He's glorifying gopis and his cowherd friends. He's always letting them win. He's always glorifying Lord Balram. Similarly, in this pastime, you will see how he's going to make a very solid point here. Krishna, never does anything without a reason. And there are many, many reasons why he does some things. They may not be clear to us, Sometimes we don't understand his plans, but he has many goals that are fulfilled when he does something. He says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, chapter 4.9 verse, he says, Janma karm cha me divyam evam yuveti tatvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naeti mameti. So Arjuna, he says that my birth or my appearance is transcendental. Also, my activities are transcendental. And whoever can understand this divine transcendental nature of my appearance and my activities will never have to take birth again in this material world, and he will surely come back to me. So, tyaktva deham punarjanma naeti, he says. After giving up this life, this body, tyaktva deham punarjanma naeti, mameti. In fact, he will achieve me. So his appearance, which is today, his birth, is transcendental, it's divine, because he does not take birth like us. He decides his own family, he decides the country, the city where he's going to be born, he knows what activities he's going to be performing, he knows his associates or his friends, his playmates, or his various who will be his wife, who will be his mother, who will be his father. That, so in that way he knows everything. Whereas we are born into a particular family without any say of ours. We are just given a body. You may be born in the body of an animal or a human or a bird or a plant, and you have no say in it. We have no say in which family we are born. We have no say in whatever happens to us in our life. How many diseases are we going to contract? What is the duration of our life? How long we are going to stay? Whereas he decides how long he's going to stay and how or when he will disappear and wrap up his pastimes. That's why all his activities are called leelas or pastimes, because he also says in Bhagavad Gita that there is nothing for me to do in this world. He has nothing to do with this world. He's completely aloof. Yet he comes here and performs certain pastimes for our benefit, to attract us, to attract the jivas, and to create some emotions in the hearts of different type of jivas. For example, when he comes as Ram, he invokes these karunamai emotions, like um, very, like sorrowful emotions. When we hear about the separation of Lord Ram and Mother Sita, when we hear about the pastime of Narsingadev, he creates these emotions of this emotion of protection, that I'm protected, I'm maintained by my Lord. He's there, he's everywhere, he's present everywhere. Just like Prahlad, he will also protect me. So like that, he creates those emotions. With Krishna, he invokes all kinds of emotions in all kinds of different humans. So people of different consciousness relate differently to Krishna's pastimes. He participates in different types of um, moods or mellows with his various associates. He's in Sakhya Bhav, he's in Vatsalya Bhav or parental mood. He is in conjugal mood with the gopis and with Radharani. He's in friendship mood or Sakhya Bhav with various gopas and with Arjuna and so many other associates. He is in Veer Ras or fighting mood with, for example, various demons or with Kauravas or on the battlefield. So in this way, he invokes different emotions. He has also sometimes a masterful mood, and everybody else is acting as a servant, like, for example, the queens of Dwarka. So like that, he's invoking different emotions in different people, and that is the goal, that we can connect to Krishna on some level and reawaken our dormant, our sleeping love for the Lord that we have forgotten. We have become so engaged in this body and its activities that we have forgotten the love of God, and he comes to revive that love of Godhead within us. So that's the reason for his appearance. His appearance is divine. It's not like ours. He's not an ordinary entity like us. He's a supreme personality of Godhead who's aja, who's unborn. He has no reason to be born, but he takes birth still to delight us. And other reasons he gives in Bhagavad Gita, he also comes to annihilate demons, and he comes to reestablish the dharma. So he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamaya. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So in every yuga, many times over, I come over and over again for paritranaya sadhunam. That's his main purpose, to give delight to the devotees. Not just to save them, but to also give them delight, to exchange relationships with him, to reciprocate with them in various moods and emotions. So you will see a very beautiful mood in this particular chapter, the Brahmana's wives, Dvij Patnis. What happens here in this chapter? Let's discuss. Let's start with the first verse. And I want, if people are able to read, let's read 5 or at least 3 verses at a time. I need volunteers to quickly read so that we can get through this chapter. But this, let's recite this first verse at least. 10.23.1. Shri Gopa Uchu.
Shri Gopa Uchu.
Rama Rama Mahabaho.
Rama Rama Mahabaho.
Krishna Dushta Nibarhana.
Krishna Dushta Nibarhana.
Esha Vaibhadate Krishnas. Esha
Vaibhadate Krishnas.
Shantim Kartum Arhata.
Tachantim Kartum Arhata.
Mataji, you want to read the first 3 translations, please?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Text 1. The cowherd boy said, O Rama, Rama, mighty armed one, O Krishna, chastiser of the wicked, we are being harassed by hunger and you should do something about it. Text 2. Sukhdev Goswami said, thus, entreated by the cowherd boys, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Devaki, replied as follows, desiring to please certain of his devotees who were Brahmana's wives. Text 3. Lord Krishna said, please go to the sacrificial arena where a group of Brahmanas learned in the Vedic injunction are now performing the Angirasa sacrifice to gain promotion to heaven. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is the scene. Rama here refers to Balram. So Balram is fondly called Ram. So the Gopas and Lord Balram and Krishna are wandering about in the forest to graze their cows, and they have come far from Braj. So they have wandered off far from Braj, and they're actually close to present-day Mathura. So they are close to a village or some place close to Mathura. So that's pretty far from Braj. And Gopas are requesting to Krishna and Balram that we are very hungry. So do something about it. Now here our acharyas describe, Prabhupada and other acharyas describe, that actually it was so, it had been such a long time since they had eaten that they knew Krishna and Balram would be hungry. Because, Krishna likes to eat. Krishna and Balram like to eat. That's why in Krishna consciousness movement, in our movement of Hare Krishna, Prasadam is given a very central role. Prasadam Tattva is very, very important. That's why we are, like today we are fasting, so maybe Prasadam is not the best thing to talk about, making me hungry as well. But still, Prasadam is the center of our movement, because this is how many people actually get attracted to Krishna consciousness. So cooking Prasadam, cooking for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of their lordships, is actually a great skill and very, very important service to Krishna and to the devotees. So here, now Krishna and Balram, so Gopas are thinking Krishna and Balram must be very hungry because they like to eat, and it's been a long time since we ate. But if we ask Krishna and Balram, are you hungry? They will say, no, we are not hungry. We are okay. Let's keep playing. So they will not eat anything. So let's pretend that we are hungry. So it's said that Gopas understood the mood of Krishna and Balram. It's a very sweet relationship. So instead of saying, are you hungry? They're saying, we are hungry. Please do something about it. Because if we say we are hungry, then Krishna and Balram will try to find some food, and we will be able to serve Krishna and Balram in this way. So really, they're looking for service. They're looking to serve food to Krishna and Balram. So they're saying, we are hungry. So this is a very sweet relationship between the Gopas and Krishna and Balram. And this type of relationship, this type of sweet exchanges, you won't see with any other forms of Krishna, any other expansions of Krishna. For example, the Narayan forms or the Vishnu forms, the four-armed forms, this type of sweet exchange is not possible because Narayan or Vishnu forms are served with awe and reverence. So this type of charming, endearing exchanges do not happen, but with the Shyam Sundar two-handed form, the original form of Krishna, this cowherd form of Krishna, which is where the Gopas can say things and tease him and play with him and do all these intimate pastimes with him. So here they are not seeing Krishna as God. They are seeing him as a loving friend. And they want to do everything to serve him. They know he is God, but they are beyond that relationship of awe and reverence to them now. Krishna has basically revealed his true identity to them, and he has revealed their true relationship with him. So they have achieved their spiritual identity of being Krishna's eternal friends. They are Nitya Siddha, perfect devotees. They are the pure devotees, the perfectly situated Raganuga Bhaktas. And so now all that remains is to relish the relationship. And that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to follow a process, a path of purification so that one day we can attain our spiritual identity with Krishna and exchange these relish these sweet exchanges with Krishna. So anyway, so now they're wanting to serve him. They want some service and they're worried about them and they want to feed them. It's a little bit unlike us, when we make bhoga for Krishna, what do? We are just trying to serve us. We are just trying to make prasadam for ourselves. Humko khud ko bhook lag rahi hoti hai, and we are like, okay, let's make something for Krishna. So we serve Krishna pizzas and pastas and these things that he probably doesn't care about. But since we are hungry and we want to eat certain things, we will forcibly offer bhoga to Krishna, and then the mentality is that we want to enjoy ourselves. But Gopa's main mentality is that they want for Krishna and Balram to enjoy the bhoga. So then Krishna told them there are some Brahmanas doing some Vedic sacrifices. They are trying to get promotion to heaven or upper material planets, Swargalok and other planets like that. And so they're doing a Vedic sacrifice, some kind of sacrifice they're performing. Go to them and ask for food. Let's read next, maybe 5. Can somebody read? Who wants to read next? Yes, Navya, you want to read? Maybe read 2, Navya, and then somebody else can read 3 more. Please decide who wants to read. Go ahead.
Text 4. When you go there, my dear cowherd boys, simply request some food. Declare to them the name of my elder brother, the Supreme Lord Balram, and also my name. Explain that you have been sent by us. Thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cowherd boys went there and submitted their request. They stood before the Brahmins with palms joined in supplication and then fell flat on the ground to offer respect.
Okay. Anyone else wants to read the next 3? Or at least just next 2. I don't think we need to read this 8th one. If not, Navya, you can go on. If nobody's available. Okay, go on. Read the next 2.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I can read.
Hare Krishna.
Text 6. The cowherd boys said, "O earthly gods, please hear us. We cowherd boys are executing the orders of Krishna, and we have been sent here by Balram. We wish all good for you. Please acknowledge our arrival." Text 7. Lord Rama and Lord Achitya are tending their cows not far from here. They are hungry and want you to give them some of your food. Therefore, O Brahmins, O best of the knowers of religion, if you have faith, please give some food to them. Hare Krishna.
Very bold. So these 4 verses very important. So Gopas now have been given service by Krishna to go get food from the Brahmanas who are doing a sacrifice. So Krishna, if he was an ordinary entity, he wouldn't know that the way that there are some Brahmanas doing some sacrifice there. But he's going to make a very important point in this chapter, in this pastime. You will see. But so he wants to prove something to us. He wants to show us something. So he sent Gopas, his friends, to these Brahmanas to get some food from them. Okay. So Gopas very submissively approached these Brahmanas and he told them, if you see, he told them, say my name and Lord Balram's name. Now, this is important because Lord Balram, if you know, is recognized as a Kshatriya. Even living in Braj, he is recognized as Kshatriya. You all know that the Nand Maharaj and his dynasty and all these cowherd boys are Vaishyas, right? Because they are mercantile class, they are business class, because they sell all the butter, they get the milk, then they make butter and yogurt and ghee and all these milk products that they then sell. And so they are the mercantile class. So they are Vaishyas. But Lord Balram is not Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Maiya's son, right? He is the son of Vasudev and Rohini. As far as Brajvasis think, he's the son of Vasudev and Rohini. Actually, he's the son of Vasudev and Devaki. They don't know that. They think he's the son of Vasudev and Rohini. Either way, he's the son of Vasudev. If he's the son of Vasudev, Balram is a Kshatriya. And Kshatriyas have this authority to ask Brahmanas for something. And it goes both ways. When Brahmanas ask Kshatriya for something, they will have to give them food. They always give them food as a matter of social conduct and respect and all. Similarly, when Kshatriyas, being the rulers, ask Brahmanas to give something, they typically have to oblige as well. And Krishna wants his name mentioned, but not that important. Most important is to mention Balram's name. But he says also mention my name, because he is the son of Vrajraj, who is Nand Maharaj. So he's the son of King of Vraj, Nand Maharaj. And so he's the prince of Vraja. And so in that way also, he's the ruler of that area. He's the ruler of that province. And so he has authority over these Brahmanas. So in this way, because he knows, now these Brahmanas, you can tell already, I'm sure you have noticed that they are materialistic people. Is that yes or yes? They're materialistic people because they're trying to get some elevation to the heavenly planets. So if somebody is trying to elevate themselves to heavenly planets and using Vedas and scriptures to that end, then those are typically materialistic people. So he is using his materialistic status, he's using his bodily status of being a prince of Vraja or Balram being a Kshatriya to entice these Brahmanas in service, so that Brahmanas would oblige. He's coming down to that level to get some service out of them. So what do Gopas say? Gopas approach them and they offer them very nice titles. They say, "Oh earthly gods, oh earthly gods." Then they say, "Oh best of the knowers of religion." So being Brahmanas, they are offering them very high respects and titles, and they're saying, "We have come here to ask for some food from you. We wish all the good for you. Please acknowledge our arrival." And Ram and Achyuta, meaning Balram and Krishna, are hungry. So if you are the knowers of the religion, please have faith and give some food to them. Now, this is a little bit, well, this has two meanings. One, they are being very submissive. So this is a lesson for us here. We, being devotees, when we are given service by Krishna, we are given service by our gurus, our whatever our service is. When we approach materialistic people of this world, this is how we should be very submissive and very humble. It is said that we should, with great humility, approach the people of this world, the worldly people, with straw between your teeth. Even though you're doing Krishna service, you're not arrogant and pounding on your chest about it. No, you doing this is a matter of service to Krishna. So if you want to influence the worldly people, then you have to be very humble. You have to approach in this way. Because worldly people, materialistic people, are typically very puffed up with pride of various things. They have pride of knowledge or pride of wealth or pride of position and status, and so many other pride of various degrees they have accumulated or various properties they have accumulated. Like that, they're very proud people. And so those people, you have to be very humble in front of them because they think they are the controllers. And so this is a lesson for us to learn, that devotees feel compassion for such worldly people, and not deal with them in an arrogant mood, but rather a humble, submissive mood. Secondly, they are also a little bit sarcastic because these people, these Brahmanas, earthly gods, they think that they are the controllers of this bhumi, best of the knowers of religion. They are thinking that we are the perfect knowers of religion. Now, the true knowledge of religion is the conclusion of all Vedas is, Krishna says, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo, that I am the conclusion, the summum bonum, the essence of all Vedic knowledge. So if you are truly the knower of religion, then you should know that when Krishna and Balram are asking for service, then you serve them. You don't keep them waiting. They are भगवान आपके दर पे चल के आए हैं, and you are going to ignore them. That you should not do. You should be running to serve them. So Gopas, or just like us, when we are standing doing book distribution, we often hope that people will acknowledge us. So Gopas are also hoping, please acknowledge our arrival. So then what happens? So they are in this way. Now let's read. Let's read 9 and then let's read 12 and 13. Can somebody read 9, 12 and 13?
Haribol, can I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
The Brahmanas heard this supplication from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet they refused to pay heed. Indeed, they were full of petty desires and entangled in elaborate rituals. Through pursuing themselves advanced in Vedic learning, they were actually inexperienced fools. 12th. When the Brahmanas failed to reply even with a simple yes or no, O chastiser of the enemy, Parikshit, the cohort boys returned disappointed to Krishna and Rama and reported this to them. Text 13. Hearing what had happened, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of Universe, simply laughed. Then he again addressed the cohort boys, showing them the way men act in this world. Haribol.
Very cool. This is amazing. This is so wonderful, this chapter. So text 9, let me open this for you. The words that are used in Sanskrit for the Brahmanas. So Gopas have very submissively presented their case to them that Krishna and Balram are hungry, please serve them. And what so in this way they did the yachna, Bhagavad yachna. And what did they do? What did these Brahmanas, they ignored them completely. They did not even say. So there are 3 responses possible. When somebody requests something from you, you can either say, yes, I will do it. You can say, no, I cannot do it, decline. Or you can completely ignore. Out of these 3, ignoring someone completely is the worst thing you can do. So let's say somebody asks you for some charity or some food or some kind of service. Can you wash these pots? You can say yes, you can say no, or you can completely ignore. So what did they do in a service for the Lord? They completely ignored the Gopas, the devotees. So they are being referred here as Shudra Asha. Shudra Asha means petty desires. They are full of petty desires because they are trying to fulfill their petty desires, trying to get to reach heaven and all. And those are petty desires. Those do not matter at all, going to heaven and stuff like that. Then they are being called Balisha Vriddha Manina. Manina means thinking themselves to be very wonderful or wise, intelligent Brahmanas. They are supposed to be very cultured, very advanced in knowledge, but actually they are Balisha, meaning they are childish. They are childish fools. So they are full of petty desires, Shudrasha, and presuming themselves to be wise men, they are actually very childish fools, inexperienced childish fools. So these Brahmanas, remember that we are not talking about just because they are Brahmanas doesn't mean they're devotees. That's another point to understand here. They're not devotees. Gopas here are devotees. Brahmanas here are some materialistic people who are engaged in various Vedic rituals to just get some promotion to heavenly planets. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that some people get stuck by the flowery words of the Vedas. Those people are called Karma Kandi people. These rituals are called Karma Kandi rituals. Karma Kand means to try to appease various demigods or to try to perform these elaborate rituals to gain some material, to fulfill some material desires. Like I want more wealth, I want a healthy body, I want some, my kids to get promoted, or I want a promotion for myself, or I want a good house, or things like that, or I want a great spouse. So like that, people do elaborate rituals and fasting and things like those for pleasing various demigods or various yagyas, and they're all mentioned in Vedas. They're all mentioned in Vedas, but that's just not the consciousness of a pure devotee of the Lord. Pure devotee is only concerned with pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because if you please the Supreme Lord, then all the other demigods and everybody is pleased by default. It's like watering the roots of the tree. So when you water the roots of the tree, you don't have to water the plant, the stem, or the branches, or the leaves, or the flowers separately. You just need to water the roots. So in this way, they are inexperienced fools. Then, then the Bhagavatam describes that this failed to reply even with a simple yes or no. And so the cowherd boys were disappointed and they returned to Krishna. Imagine somebody gave a service to you and you could not fulfill, you could not complete that service. And you came back. You reported this, they reported this to Krishna and Rama. And they were very disappointed. Now remember, Krishna does not care about the outcome. We have understood this in Bhagavad Gita. He only cares about your eagerness to serve. He only wants you to be engaged in the service for his pleasure. Whether or not the outcome is to your desires or not is immaterial. So to him, the fact that you engaged in the service is most important. And so, since the outcome was not good here, Krishna still gives you the full credit. So this is an important lesson to learn here, that Krishna just looks at our intention to serve, at the attention to details, the focus with which we serve, the eagerness, the enthusiasm with which we serve. He does not worry about the outcome of the service. Then Krishna, now look at this verse. Hearing what had happened, the Lord of the universe, Supreme Personality of Godhead, simply laughed. So, and why did he do this? He did all this to show them the way men act in this world. So this is very, very important point. All of you should understand. This is the way of the worldly people. This is the way of the materialistic people. They ignore the devotees. They ignore the Supreme Lord. They're always keeping themselves in center. They are very me-centered, very what we call self-centered, where their own interest or the interest of their family or the interest of their well-being, the sense gratification, that comes in the center, and they are not concerned with pleasing the Supreme Lord or his servants. So this is called a very this type of dharma that these Brahmins are practicing is a fake dharma or a cheating dharma. It's called Ketav dharma in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam's second verse itself says this is a Ketav dharma, and we do not preach Ketav dharma. This is fake. So this is the way of the materialistic people. So, sometimes people say, this is my opinion, this is my purpose, this is what I think, I believe according to my limited intelligence. This is my limited perception. Those are the worldly dharmas. And Krishna says to give up those type of worldly dharmas. He says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayashami ma shucha. So, he says Sarva dharman parityaja, meaning give up these kind of fake dharmas that you have built around you based on your limited intelligence, your small understanding or perceptions, your thinking that this is my purpose, this is my opinion, based on your birth in this world so far. People make so many opinions. Like Karna from Mahabharata, he thought that his dharma is to serve Duryodhan because Duryodhan has been such a great friend to him. This type of Sakya dharma, give that kind of dharma up. This is not going to elevate you. This is not going to take you anywhere. Or Arjuna thought in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita that not fighting this war will be better for dharma. No, that is also cheating, because it's not going to please the Supreme Lord. So sometimes we have to do difficult things and come out of our limited understanding, limited intelligence of what we think the dharma is, what we think the purpose is. So that's another point to understand. But what did Krishna do? He simply laughed, because he wanted to show them that this is how the worldly people behave. They will ignore you. They will ignore devotees. So for devotees, I mean, we should understand this from both sides. If you are a devotee, we should understand that when we go for various services, like you go for book distribution, you will be ignored. People will defy your instructions. Proud people, they may not pay any heed to the word of devotees. They may not, you may try to engage people in service of Krishna, like Gopas are trying to engage them in service of Krishna. They're asking to invest their time, their money, you may try to engage, but people may refuse because they're just busy following their own sense of dharma, their own sense of purpose. So they may stay busy in their materialistic activities thinking that's the dharma, and defy the service of Krishna, deny the service of Krishna. And so for such people, devotees feel compassion, sadness, but we should be patient, we should be tolerant, we should be forgiving. So you didn't see that Gopas ever got angry with the Brahmanas or cursed them or anything like that. They just went back to Krishna for more guidance and for more instructions. So this concept that Brahmanas are following here is called, it's called by Rup Goswami, one of our great acharyas, it's called Niyamagraha, which means they're following the rules and restrictions of Vedas so strictly that they have forgotten the essence of those rules. They've forgotten the principle. So it is said that never forget the principle. Always keep principle of serving Krishna in the center, even though you may have to bend certain rules, or you may have to, bend some rules and restrictions of Vedas. That's okay. So a wonderful verse from our scripture says, Smartavyo satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishedhasyur etavyor eva kinkara, which means always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That's the only rule that one needs to uphold. And all the other rules and restrictions, all the other injunctions of the Vedas or of this world are inferior or servants. Etavyor eva kinkara. They are the kinkara or the servants to this supreme rule. So there is only one rule for us. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. If the things of this world, the rules of this world, or the rules even of Vedas make you forget Krishna, make you not serve Krishna, then those rules need to be ignored, because there is only one rule that needs to be upheld. So, smartavyo satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jatuchit. That always remember Krishna, always remember Vishnu, never forget him. So they are being too rigid with their rules and regulations. They're trying to be very focused on the yajna, but the problem is Yajna Purush is calling them. Krishna is the enjoyer of all yajnas, all sacrifices. Yajna Purush is calling to them, and they're still busy just performing that yajna. What is the point of doing such a yajna when the Yajna Purush is not satisfied? And Krishna is the Yajna Purush. So many times in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, I am the Yajna Purush. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapsam Sarvalok Maheshwaram. I am the Bhokta of all the yajnas, all these sacrifices. So they have forgotten who's the supreme Bhokta, the enjoyer of these Vedic sacrifices. They're so busy doing the sacrifice. It's called, this principle is also called, they have basically, I'm trying to remember what is it called. It's like, they've forgotten the principle basically. So they are missing the point. Yeah, it's called missing the point. They have missed the point. The point was to please Krishna by these Vedic sacrifices, but they have missed the point. Krishna is calling them and they're not responding. So Krishna simply laughed because he wanted to show them the way men act in this world. And we should be also very careful from the other end. If we are not doing services, but somebody's calling us for services, somebody's trying to engage us in the service of the Lord, we should not defy them. We should not deny them. We should try to engage whatever we can engage, whether our time, whether our money, whether our resources, our talents, our skills, our family members, our community, some food we can give. We can use our influence, anything we can use, our senses, our intelligence, whatever we can use, we should use them in service of Krishna. We should not deny the devotees like these Brahmanas did. Okay, let's read some more. Anybody wants to share anything so far? If not, we'll keep reading. The beautiful part is now starting. Is the story clear so far? I think everybody's okay. I get 2 thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep reading. Who wants to read? Let's read next next 5. Can somebody quickly read them? Who wants to read? Shravani Mataji, want to continue reading? Or not? You didn't read before. You want to read? If you're available. I guess nobody's available to read today. Okay.
Yeah. Tell the wives of Brahmanas that I will come here with Lord Sankarana. They will certainly give you all the food you want, for they are most affectionate towards me, and indeed with their intelligence reside in me alone. Text 15. The cohort boys, when they went to the house where the Brahmanas' wives were staying, there the boys saw those chaste ladies sitting, nearly decorated with the ornaments, nicely decorated with the ornaments, bowing down to the Brahmana ladies. The boys addressed them in all humility. Text 16. The cohort boys said,
Obeisance
upon you, O wives of the learned Brahmanas, kindly hear our words. We have been sent here by Lord Krishna, who is passing by not far from here. Text 17. He has come a long way with the cohort boys and Lord Balrama tending the cows. Now he's hungry. So some food should be given for him and his companions. Text 18.
Yeah,
okay.
please. Yeah, go ahead. Read one more.
Text 18. The wives of the Brahmanas were always eager to see Krishna. For their minds have been enchanted by description of him. Thus, as soon as they heard that he had come, they become very excited.
Very good. Okay. Very good. So Krishna now gave them another service. He said, now go to the wives of the Brahmanas. Forget about the Brahmanas. He laughed at that. He knew this is what is going to happen. And this is what he was trying to show to us, what materialistic people of the world act like. So he said, go to the wives of the Brahmanas and tell them that now he's saying, tell them I have come here with Balram. So not just, so he's not using his, he's using himself and Balram so that they will know that their worshipable lords are here, not a Kshatriya or Vaishya, but their worshipable lords are here. And they will give you all the food you want. They are most affectionate. And with their intelligence resides in me alone. So Gopals then did that service. They went to Brahmana's wife's house and they were sitting there. Remember that they are all ready for the yagyas. So in a yagyic ceremony, according to the Vedas, when yagyas are done, the wife is very important. The wife sits on the left side of the husband and offers oblations in the fire along with the husband. And yagya is not completed without the wife. So if you remember from Valmiki Ramayana, Lord Ram did so many yagyas because that yuga is famous for yagyas. That's how you attain perfection or self-realization, by performing fire sacrifices or yagyas, the Treta Yuga, right? So when Mother Sita had been sent to Valmiki's ashram, after that, Lord Ram, when he did all those yagyas, he would have a pratima of Mother Sita sitting next to him, because otherwise alone he cannot do the yagya. So these Brahmanas' wives are sitting there decorated with ornaments because they're all ready for the yagyas. And they have made a lot of food because the food is a central part of the Vedic sacrifices. So they have made 4 different types of foodstuffs. And they are waiting to be called by their husband so they can participate in the yagya. And they can bring the food there to the yagic ceremony. But now, before they could be called for the yagya, Gopas came, the devotees of Krishna came and called them to give food to Krishna and Balram. So what happened? Wives of the Brahmanas always eager to see Krishna. Now, this is the important point for us to understand. Their minds had been enchanted by descriptions of him. I'll ask you this question. These Brahmanas' wives live very far from Braj. They're not living very close to Braj. How do they know about Krishna? Why are their minds full of description of Krishna? Where have they heard about Krishna? How did they become devotees of Krishna? So they are the pure devotees of the Lord, just like the cowherd boys are. Can anybody guess how they have become devotees? Where did they hear about Krishna? Because Krishna is coming to this place for the first time. Who would like to take a guess? Let's even if we are wrong, let's participate. This will be a service to the Lord on his divine appearance day. Take some guesses today. Become uncomfortable.
I'm not sure, but maybe from their husbands.
Maybe from their husbands. But husbands are not devotees, remember? Hearing from materialistic people about Krishna will not really invoke any Krishna consciousness in you, right? So we've just established that husbands are not devotees. They are materialistic people. Okay, yes, Anita Mataji, you're sharing something?
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm taking a guess, Mataji. I was saying that maybe they are always chanting Krishna's name and automatically in their heart, they're seeing his. Like,
okay, but I'm telling you, they've heard about them, about Krishna and Balram, about Krishna from somebody. Who is that? So it's not something they're simple people. They have heard about him.
Is it
Radharani?
Radharani. Good guess. Very good guess. But you're close. Yes. So
all the gopis.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
Yes,
oh, okay, perfect.
Yes, Mataji, 100%. So from the gopis, because the Brahmana's wives will go to Vrindavan to buy butter and yogurt and ghee and various things from the gopis, Braj gopis. And you know, Braj gopis are the topmost devotees of the Lord. So they have heard descriptions of Krishna from the gopis. And so Bilva Mangal Thakur describes in his beautiful song, he says, he says, Gopi janalada karavrajesha gocharnaranya krita pravesha jive pibasvamritameta deva govinda damodar madhaveti vikritrikama kila gopakanya murari padarpita chittavritti दध्यादिकं मोहावशादवोचद् गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जीवे पिबस्वा अमृतं मे तदेवा गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति. So Bilva Mangal Thakur describes in this beautiful song that there cannot be a better teacher than gopis to learn from about Krishna. So imagine they have learned about Krishna from the topmost devotees of this world, and that's gopis. So they had never seen Krishna before, but they had heard so much about him. So gopis, even when they're selling their butter and their ghee and their milk and yogurt, they are saying Govind lelo, Gopal lelo, Damodar lelo, Madhav lelo, because they don't know any other names. They don't know anything else but Krishna. So I don't have the translation open, but maybe later on we can read the translation. But this is how they described Krishna in these beautiful words to the Brahmana's wives, Dvij Patnis, and they learned about Krishna. Uddhav ji in his, trying to remember that, Uddhav ji describes gopis as the topmost gurus of this world. There is a verse, I'm trying to find it. I don't have it here, but maybe if I come across it, I'll recite it to you. He describes that they are the topmost gurus, and if somebody can take shelter of gopis, then all the love of the Godhead will be manifested in their heart automatically. And so that's who they have heard from. So they have, in their minds, they've been enchanted by the description of Krishna, but they've never seen him. They've only heard about him. And so as soon as they heard that he has come, their Aradhya Bhagwan, their worshipable Lord has come, they became very excited. And what did they do? If somebody is available to read, please read these two verses. And now we're coming to a very, very nectarian part.
I can read Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Taking along in large vessels the 4 kinds of foods, full of fine tastes and aromas, all the ladies went forth to meet their beloved, just as rivers flow towards the sea. Although their husbands, brothers, sons, and other relatives tried to forbid them from going, their hope of seeing Krishna, cultivated by extensive hearing of his transcendental qualities, won out. Along the river Yamuna, within a garden decorated with buds of Ashoka trees, they caught sight of him strolling along in the company of the cowherd boys and his elder brother, Balram. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So they have cooked 4 kinds of food stuff for the yajna. They took all that food in large vessels and ran. Full of fine taste and aromas, all the ladies went forth to meet their beloved, just as the rivers flow towards the sea. So see the difference between a devotee when he's called to service for Krishna. He's so eager to serve, they're so eager to serve, compared to Brahmanas who completely ignored the call of the devotees. So I don't know if you have, I'm sure you all have. We have been in both places where we have ignored the call of the devotees, or we have been ignored by the people of this world. I've been in both shoes. I have ignored and have been ignored. So people that have tried to do services, that have tried to engage other people in services and been ignored, can sympathize with that. And also, if you have ignored devotees' call for service, call for engagement for Krishna's pleasure, that also is something I have experienced myself. So I have ignored many devotees' call when they asked me to come and engage in Krishna consciousness. We ignored that for a long time. So anyways, but these devotees, these are pure devotees. They ran to see Krishna. They were eager to serve, right? And many family members tried to stop them because they needed this food stuff and they needed their wives, they needed the ladies of the house to do the yajna ceremonies. So many family members tried to stop them, but the ladies, no one could stop them. It's not that they were ignoring them. Well, it is tit for tat right now because they ignored the gopas and now these ladies are ignoring their husbands. But it was not neglecting them as an act of arrogance or pride. It is ignoring them because they're so enthralled by this news that Krishna and Balram are here. So Krishna is very smart. You can see here. You cannot escape. If Krishna wants something, he will get that done. You just have to be an instrument in the service. That's what he told Arjuna also. You just have to fight the war. The war is already won. Here, Krishna wanted to show that how my devotees serve me and how I will give them the service, how they will go out of their comfort zone. This is going out of comfort zone for the wives who have never gone out of the jurisdiction or the authority of their husbands, brothers, sons. They're simple ladies. They have never defied their husband, the men of their household, but now they're defying them, going out of the comfort zone, very eager to serve. And so Krishna is very chatur, and so are his devotees, very, very chatur. You cannot ignore him. You cannot ignore Krishna. He will get the job done, and he will glorify his devotees while doing that job, that service. So they took the 4 kinds of food stuff in large vessels, just like the song describes. Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavad Prasado Swadvanna Triptan Hari Bhakta Sanghan Kritveva Triptim Bhajta Sadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. So Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavad Prasado is the 4 kinds of food stuff. I hope you're making 4 kinds of food stuff for Janmashtami. So then what happened? And now they saw Krishna in the forest. And what did they see? Let's read this. Please read this. Please hear this. Close your eyes. Stop what you're doing. Just behold Krishna's beautiful form that is being described in these 2 verses. There is no greater pleasure than this. This is it. This is the ultimate goal of our life. This to hold Krishna's darshan being described by the pure devotees of the Lord. This is what they saw. So let's read this. What did they see? Who wants to read this beautiful darshan of the Lord? Who wants to go out of the comfort zone and read this?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'll read.
Yes, Mataji, please.
His complexion was dark blue and his garments golden, wearing a peacock feather, colored minerals, springs of flower birds, and a garland of forest flowers and leaves. He was dressed just like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend and with the other twirled a lotus lilies graced his ears. His hair hung down over his cheeks and his lotus-like face was smiling. Text 23. O ruler of men, for a long time those Brahmanas, ladies, had heard about Krishna, their beloved, and his glories. Glories had become the constant ornaments of their ears. Indeed, their minds were always absorbed in him. Through the apparatus of their eyes, they now forced him to enter within their hearts, and then they embraced his within for a
Mataji,
long time. In this very, they finally gave up the pain of separation from him, just as sages give up the anxiety of false ego by embracing their innermost consciousness.
So this is the darshan of the Lord as the Brahmana's wife saw. So imagine this darshan. Let's read this. We don't have time to recite the verse, but this is what they saw. They saw the sham complexion. They saw the dark bluish black complexion, the dark hue of a freshly formed monsoon cloud. So shamam. Hiranya paridham. So he was wearing golden garments or kanak kapisham. Hiranya garments, golden garments, yellowish garments. Minerals decorating his body. Dhatu pravala. So dhatus are various minerals, like we put cosmetics. He had some minerals decorating his body. Barha means peacock feather on his head. Then he had the one mala. One mala, I don't know where the verse went. One mala is the garland of forest flowers and tulsi leaves, wildflowers and tulsi leaves decorating his neck. So this is a long garland that he wears. Please close your eyes and behold this darshan in your mind. One hand was on the shoulder of another gopa like this, and with the other hand he was twirling a lotus flower in his other hand. Fragrant lily flowers were decorating his ears. His hair hung over his cheeks, and he was dressed. It is described he was dressed like a dancer. He's always dressed like a dancer. So that's why Krishna is the best dancer, and one should always dance to his tunes. So he was dressed like a dramatic dancer. And Brahmana's wives gazed upon him. And as they continued to gaze upon him, this comes in the next verse, but he gazed upon them and he smiled. And they are absorbed in this darshan. They're drinking this darshan through their eyes. They have heard about him for so long. He has become, it's a constant ornament of their ears, like we are hearing about Krishna. So this Krishna Katha, this Shravanam has become ornament of their ears. And this is the mood of the devotees. Shravanam is very, very dear to the devotees. Krishna Katha, very, very important. This is how the darshan enters. That's why we are told, we are instructed, when you go to the temple, when mundane, ordinary people go, they don't see anything but just a pratima, just an idol. That's why they say idol. But when we go, we see our lordship standing there. So it's not an idol. It's our deity. It's our vigraha. It's our lordship standing there, ready to be served. And so you have to hear the darshan. Mundane people, ordinary people don't hear the darshan of the Lord. So when they come in front of the Lord, they cannot really appreciate the darshan. So in order to appreciate the darshan, you have to hear the darshan. So they had heard the darshan so much that now they are able to really absorb him through his eyes, through their eyes, apertures of their eyes, and they entered within their hearts and they embraced him within. So inside, they embraced this darshan for a long time, it is said. So they kept gazing at him for a long time. And that's how we should stand in front of the deity in the temple and should gaze at them, should gaze at their feet and go upwards from niche se upar darshan lena chahiye. And we should look at them, gaze at them. And Krishna, remember that he's gazing back at you, and he smiled. So the next verse says, Lord Krishna, who witnesses the thoughts of all creatures, understood how these ladies had abandoned all their worldly hopes and come there simply to see him. Thus he addressed them as follows with a smile upon his face. So he knew their mood. He understood that they had abandoned all their worldly hopes and desires, meaning they have become completely a kinchan. Kunti Maharani says that one has to become a kinchan. One has to give up worldly hopes and desires to enjoy this world. We have to understand that this world has nothing. It's very shallow. It is only going to bring us discomfort and disturbances and problems and disease and old age and so many other things. And there is no hopes in this world. There is, or at least we should not have lasting, eternal hopes with this world. Our hopes should be, we should become a kinchan as far as this world is concerned. And we should have all our hopes resting, completely depend on Krishna. And that is the way to get his favor, his mercy. And he knew that they have done that. They have left everything that they knew, because for them, their household was everything. For them, their husbands, their fathers or sons or brothers were everything. And they have left them to come. And so they have completely surrendered to him. So this is the darshan. There is a very beautiful verse by gopis that they have heard probably many times. I'll open that verse so everybody can see. It says, Baraha Pidam Natvar Vapu Karnayo Karnikaram Vibridvasa Kanak Kapisham Vajayanti Chamalam Randharan Venur Adhar Sudhaya Apurayan Gopa Vrindir Vrindaranayam Swapadramanam Pravishad Gita Kirti. So this is said by gopis themselves. Imagine, they have said this verse themselves. They're saying, Barha Pidam, wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head, blue karnikar flowers on his ears, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and Vajanti Mala. Lord Krishna exhibited this transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan. Beautifying it with the marks of his footprints, he filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. Randharan Venur, he has filled his flute with his touching with his beautiful lips. He has filled the holes of that flute with that beautiful sound. And the cowherd boys are singing his glory. So this is what gopis said. And this is the glorification that Brahmana's wives, which patnis have heard for so long, and they've become completely surrendered to the Lord. Let's see what next Krishna says to them. So now Krishna will start speaking to the wives. Let's skip a few verses. Okay, maybe read these 4. Can somebody read them? 26 to 29.
Shall I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Text 26. Certainly, expert personalities who can see their own true interest render unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service directly onto me, for I am most dear to the soul. 27th. It is only by contact with the self that one's vital breath, intelligence, mind, friends, body, wife, children, wealth, and so on are dear. Therefore, what object can possibly be more dear than one's own self? Text 28. You should thus return to the sacrificial arena because your husbands, the learned Brahmanas, are householders and need your assistance to finish their respective sacrifices. Text 29. The wives of the Brahmanas replied, O Almighty One, please do not speak such cruel words. Rather, you should fulfill your promise that you always reciprocate with your devotees in kind. Now that we have attained your lotus feet, we simply wish to remain here in the forest so we may carry upon our heads the garlands of tulsi leaves that fall from your lotus feet. We are ready to give up all material relationships.
Very cool. Thank you, Mataji. So this is a beautiful exchange going on between Krishna. So Krishna smiled at them and they were completely drowned in this ecstasy when he smiled at them. Their heart was completely inundated, completely overwhelmed with this beautiful darshan of Krishna that we just saw. And with their body, mind, words, their soul, they're completely absorbed and they're embracing this form of Krishna. Now, Krishna understood their mood and he starts talking to them. He says that he was very pleased with their unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service directly to me. He says, directly unto me. So you don't have to go through Devi Devtas or do various yajnik sacrifices and all. You can render direct devotional service to me. And then he says, now that you have done this, but you should go back now. You've done this service. Now the service is finished. So now you should go back to your other duty, other service of serving your husbands and the Brahmanas and the householders. They need your assistance because they still need to do that yajna. So they need your assistance. So please go back to them. And the wives of the Brahmanas are resisting. They're saying, we cannot go back. We have seen you now. How can you be so cruel and tell us to go back? We want to stay here. So further, they keep saying that we want to stay in this forest and we simply wish to remain in the forest and we just want to carry the tulsi leaves that fall from your garland on our head. That's all we want. And we are ready to give up all material relationships. So they are ready to be completely surrendered, but Krishna tells them, no, you need to go back and do your original service. So this is something else to understand. And then Krishna further goes on to say that my physical proximity is not what is needed. To see me or to see me is not that important. Prabhupada also used to say when people would ask him, have you seen Krishna? He would say, to see Krishna is not our concern. To serve Krishna is our concern. So physical proximity with the Lord, similarly, it applies to the Guru also. To see or to be in physical proximity to the body is not that important. To serve them, and Krishna says later on, he says that to serve my deity form, to chant my names, to meditate on me, to discuss my glories with each other, those are the things that are more important to me. So it is by hearing about me, by seeing my deity form, by meditating upon me, chanting my names and glories, that love for me develops, not by physical proximity. Therefore, please go back to your homes, he says. So this is a very important instructional point for us. Krishna is saying directly to us that we should, when we serve the deity, so this is the mood. When you serve the deity form depends on us. Just like here, Krishna is depending on the Dvij Patnis, on the Brahmana's wives to bring him food. Similarly, the deity also depends on us for service. So it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sthavara Jangam dekhe na dekhe tara murti, sarvatra haya nij ishta dev spurti. That it's not a murti. Sthavara Jangam dekhe na dekhe tara murti. It's not your murti. It's my ishta dev. Pratima na tumi sakshat Brajendra Nandan. So you're not a pratima, you are not an idol, you're not a statue, you're sakshat Brajendra Nandan. So we should behold that form of Krishna in that mood, that this is sakshat Brajendra Nandan standing in front of me, and should try to serve. You should see the Lord in the devotees. You should see Krishna's form, Krishna's arrangement, Krishna's plans in every situation, in everybody, in every circumstances of life. And in this way, you should meditate upon him. You should chant his names and glories, and then the love for me develops. So he's instructing them to go home. Of course, they don't want to go home. This beautiful song that I was sharing in the group today that says, Ami ghare na jaibe, vane praveshila, o lila rasera thare. Ami jamuna puline, kadamba kanane, ki herino sakhi aja. Ki o sakhi, oh dear friend, let's go to Yamuna, because that's where in the forest of Kadamba trees, Krishna is performing his leelas. And Ami ghare na jaibe, I don't want to go back home. Vane praveshila, let's go to the forest, let's stay in the forest, because that's where the leelas of Krishna are happening. Amar Sham Vamsidhari, Mani Mancho Pari, Kare Lila Rasa Raja. So this is their mood that we don't want to go back home. Ami Ghare Na Jaibe. It's a very beautiful song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So anyways, but Krishna told them to go, and so they had no option but to go back home. And when they went home, they were manifesting such ecstatic symptoms. Their voice was trembling, their hair was standing on end, they had such spiritual effulgence on their body. Krishna Naam was on their tongue. They were manifesting all the vikars of Krishna Prema, all the symptoms that come with Krishna Prema, because having seen Krishna, they had manifested all those symptoms. And when Brahmana saw their wives coming back, they realized that they have actually had darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And immediately Krishna says that I'm within everyone as Paramatma. So I will give them the instructions on how to behave with you, and they will treat you like their guru from now on. You will become their guru. So and that's what happened. They understood that these simple ladies, simple wives of ours, mothers of ours, they're actually very, very advanced, very, very elevated, because we ignored the Lord, but they have actually gotten the darshan of the Supreme Lord. Then it's described in this verse. One of the ladies who had been forcibly kept back by her husband, when she heard the others describe the Supreme Lord Krishna, she embraced him within her heart and gave up her material body, the basis of bondage to material activity. So one lady had been kept forcibly back by her husband, but when other wives described the appearance of Krishna, she gave up her body because she felt this separation, and she I wanted to join him for real. So one lady left like that. So now the Brahmana started lamenting. They started anutap. They started this anutap or lamentation that Krishna, who is the essence of all Vedic knowledge, who is the Yajna Purush, he was standing in front of us and we ignored him. The devotees were calling us for help, for service. And he is the success of all yajnas, yet we were busy in just performing our yajnic sacrifices. So in this way, they were very remorseful that these wives have not had any kind of purificatory ceremonies. They have not accepted any naam or thread or anything like that, and they have not read any Vedas, nothing. Yet in their heart they have manifested, they have seen actually Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we ignored him. So this is a lesson for us to learn, that Krishna gives us choices to either serve him or to serve Maya. If we decide to serve our materialistic desires, our sense gratificatory desires, then Krishna is lost to us. It is said that when opportunity knocks, some people complain about the noise. And that happens actually. Some people complain about the noise. So when opportunity knocks, one should open the door. So Krishna gives us many times. Krishna comes in the form of devotees, in the form of scriptures, in the form of festivals, in the form of ekadashis. He keeps coming. He requesting us to serve him, to at least today do something more. At least today think of me. At least today give up your bodily conceptions and materialistic desires and just try to serve me. At least today give up this false notions and perceptions you have made, and just think of me today. Manmana bhav madbhakta madyaji mam namaskuru mam evashyasi yuktvevam atmana matparayana. That you are very dear to me, so just become parayan to me, just become allegiant to me, worship me, think about me, and I will take care of you. He says that many times. but we ignore him. He says that same verse comes actually twice in the Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhavat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mam evashyasi satyam te pratijano priyasi me. So next time he says, you are very dear to me. So, but he's giving very clear instruction that we should meditate, chant on his names, glorify him, and serve him with the 9 limbs of devotional service. And also another lesson to learn here is that just by hearing about the Lord, even though you've not read any scriptures, even though you've not done any purificatory ceremonies, just hearing about the Lord, Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu, all the abhadra things, unfortunate, inauspicious things disappear from our life. Nashta Prayeshva Abhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. The next verse of Bhagavatam says, Shrinvatam Swa Katha Krishna, by hearing the Katha of the Krishna, Punya Shravan Kirtana, Riddhi Antastohi Abhadrani. Again, it says, all the Abhadra things from our heart, all the Abhadra, Anartha things from our heart are destroyed. Vidunoti Suhrit Satam, and you become very dear devotee of the Lord. So, in this way, we'll stop here. This is the beautiful story of Brahmana's wives. At the end, I'll share one last thing with you, the last verse of this chapter. So this now the Brahmanas are just lamenting the whole chapter. Now they're lamenting that all our knowledge, all our mantras, tantras, everything is waste. We did not recognize Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. Then in the end, they say, reflecting on the sin they had committed by neglecting Krishna, they became very eager to see him. Now they also wanted to see him. Just like their wives had seen, but being afraid of King Kamsa, they did not dare to go to Braja. So even now, they are not able to surrender like their wives surrendered. Their wives were also scared of their husbands and of their of King Kamsa, but of Maharaj Kamsa, because if Kamsa comes to know that all these elevated people are submitting to Krishna, then he will punish them. But they were not concerned with that. They were completely surrendered.
Not there.
That's what I'm telling you.
But they were still afraid of King Kamsa. So even now they could not go to Raja. So even now they're not able to purify themselves, because really the purification can only happen by following the 9 limbs of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam. And this is what the wives had done. They had heard about him, they had thought about him, Smaran, Manan, everything they had done. And they had glorified about him to each other. So that's the real process of devotional service. Let's see, anybody has any realizations from this chapter? There are many, many more understandings and lessons. But this is what I wanted to share. It's a very beautiful lesson. Krishna exemplified the pure devotees of the Lord to us. He glorified them. He glorified the simple yet so beautiful, such deep devotion that these wives, these simple ladies had. And even though Brahmanas were so intelligent, so well versed in the Vedic knowledge, knew so many mantras and tantras, and very highly elevated, very, very appreciated for their Vedic knowledge and whatnot. But, you know, when the time came to serve, they could not do the service. And so, so they're fallen in the eyes of Krishna. And these wives, simple wives, are very much glorified in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Jaya Dvij Patni Jaya Naga Kanyagana Bhakti Tejahara Pailo Govinda Charana. Great acharyas have glorified them. Jaya Dvij Patni. Okay, anyone wants to share anything? I want to hear some realizations. This is Janmashtami, so please share your realizations. Very important. Please glorify the Lord in this pastime as much as you can. Deepu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I just wanted to share about the prasadam. So that's one thing that is always been close to my heart, because somehow I have this feeling that if the food is good, then we will be able to get the help that we need for our spiritual path. So today's class, you covered. So thank you so much.
Yes, Madhu. I thought about talking about prasadam today, but I thought we should still talk, because prasadam, you know, in the Gyanis, mystic paths, they stop eating, but that's not the mood of our sampradaya, of our Actually, that's not the mood of Krishna. We just fast on certain days to get bodily detachment, to really relish that we are the souls. But prasadam is the core of our movement. So yes,
Yeah,
Mataji.
and like the thing that I wanted to convey was the clean, and if the prasadam is Krishna conscious prasadam, what else, what else it would be better than. So eating clean food is the main thing that we need for our body, even for this material world.
Yes, Mataji.
So thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Any lessons anybody else can draw out? Any more realizations, reflections? Let's see. Hima Mataji, Jagrati Mataji, Neelveni Mataji, Neelam Mataji, Nagarchandra Prabhu. Please share. Shravani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Pranam to all devotees. Wishing everyone a very happy Janmashtami. Very much for sharing this beautiful, beautiful pastime. It was very, very nectarian to hear about this wonderful pastime and the mood of the Dvijpatnis, and the description of Krishna that has been done over here is very, very beautiful. It just fills the heart, and thanks for sharing it. The Dvijpatnis, the mood that they have of complete surrender is very, very difficult to get. And we think about 100 things before doing anything, even in the service of the Lord. Even in any services that we do perform, we do it with material consciousness. We think about the pros and cons, and it's possible, not possible. We have to be intelligent a little bit, but at the same time, we have to be completely surrendered to the Lord, that no matter what happens, what the result is, our service should be like that like Dvijpatnis, that we have to give our best. We have to use our intelligence in the best way for Krishna, and not really worry about the consequences or the result. So that was really nice. Hare Krishna.
Very cool. Thank you, Nirmal Prabhu, for sharing. This is the verse I was saying from Uddhav Geet. Uddhav Ji is glorifying gopis when he goes to Vrindavan. He says, Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padarenum Bhikshnasha Yasam Hari Kathodgitam Punati Bhuvantrayam. I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of the women of Nand Maharaj's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Sri Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. This is what the Dvijpatnis had heard. So Krishna arranged this whole pastime to glorify the Dvijpatnis, the ordinary, so simple looking, outwardly ordinary souls, just like Shabri is so glorified in Lord Ram's pastime in Ramayana. And he also wanted us to understand the importance of Shravanam and Kirtanam and Smaranam. He wanted to understand the reality of the Karma Kandi ritualistic Brahmanas. He wanted us to understand the importance of offering bhoga to Krishna. He wanted us to show the eagerness to serve Krishna like gopis or like these Dvijpatnis, and not to be discouraged. Be tolerant, be patient be forgiving with the people when they are not receptive to you. Pray to Krishna for guidance and inspiration when they're not receptive to you, just like the Brahmanas were not receptive to Gopas, and still stay enthusiastic and determined. So that's why when we go on book distribution, it is such a purificatory process, because you are ignored, you are being judged, you may be criticized, you may be offended, just like you may be ignored, just like these Brahmanas were ignoring, because you're trying to give them the seva and the words of Krishna, but they may ignore you because they're so immersed in their materialistic life. But you still stay enthusiastic and determined and pray to Krishna like Gopas did. Went back to Krishna for guidance, and Krishna will show the right path, and he will inspire them from within. In the end, Krishna inspired Brahmanas from within so that they understood that Krishna is the Supreme Personality. So eagerly serve, and just like Dvijpatnis, always eagerly serve, leave the materialistic considerations behind, like you said. Keep Krishna in the center. And he also gave us the importance of deity darshan, not just physical proximity. He also said, maintain the supreme principle, not the rituals, rules, restrictions are not that important. The principle should be upheld. So those are some of the lessons I drew out of this this katha, this story. Anybody else wants to share anything? Let's see who. Hema Mataji, were you able to hear? Would you like to share some point? Or Jagrati Mataji? Okay, I can't hear anyone. So I think we'll stop then. If you want, we can sing Nandanandan Ashtakam. I have all the time till midnight. So whoever wants to chant, whoever wants to read, whoever wants to do anything, please let me know. Who wants to eat with us after midnight, do Aarti, do Kirtan, please, you're welcome to just text away. All right, we'll stop here. Vancha kaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah gurve gaurachandraya radhikaya tadalaya krishnaya krishna bhaktaya tadbhaktaya namo namah. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Maha Mahotsav ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Guru.